Well, it's nice to be here. I always like coming to see you. And Dennis, the school's terrific. It's beautiful. Y'all are lucky to be at CU in this business school. And it's fun to come here for me because, well, Kate is a freshman, second semester, and Gabe, 36, running his own company, graduated from CU. And Sarah, running her own company, graduated from CU. And Megan, who is my entrepreneurial daughter at 32, is on to her next venture. All came out of CU, and Kate will be the fourth. And Luke came here today, who's the youngest in our group, the youngest kid. So coming to see you is awesome. I also had a great opportunity to have dinner with most of you. Well, many of you. It was a confidence-building moment. Really, you all are great. And I think about Kate and Grant and your friends and the kids I met today and this generation of young people. And I have, Dennis, are you with me? Total confidence in where the world is going, where America's going. This is an awesome generation of people. And 100 million of you in the millennial generation. And some people say the greatest generation was in the past. Your generation is going to be the greatest generation in the history of this country. No doubt about it. So I decided I would wear a coat and tie today because I wanted to take you back to the origins of Celestial Seasonings. So I thought I would dress the part on the company and how it got started. And it started when I was at Harvard, and I was getting my master's degree at Harvard and doing a case study on Procter & Gamble and how Procter & Gamble was going to introduce Folgers coffee into Europe. So they'd been taking some of their products in, and they thought coffee would be a good logical thing to bring into Europe. While I was looking at it, I stumbled across this odd detail that in Germany, for every 1 cup of regular Lipton type of tea people were drinking, they were drinking 2 cups of herb tea. It seemed like a great idea, so I went to my marketing professor and said, I've stumbled across this odd thing called herb tea. They're drinking a lot of it in Europe. No one is drinking it in the United States. And he said, well, that's a great idea. Come up with a business plan. I've got a friend, a billionaire friend, Charlie Allen in New York City. We'll go from Boston to New York and meet Charlie Allen. And if he likes it, he funds a lot of stuff. You're going to get a check to get going. So wrote up a business plan. He and I went down to New York City, met with Charlie Allen. Charlie Allen liked it. I walked out of that meeting with $1 million to start the company. And everything I just told you is absolutely and completely a total lie. I did not go to Harvard. I did not even get to graduate from CU, which would have been much better. I was a penniless young guy. I didn't have a coat and tie. I didn't look like this, and this is why this was a pain in the neck. The truth is I looked really different than that. 19 years old, broke as can be, walking through the woods of Colorado, right out here in Boulder, Colorado, picking a bunch of weird herbs, and that is the truth on how the story of Celestial Seasonings got started. I look like this. It was the late 60s and early 70s. Oh, by the way, you know why I got invited? I just want to make this point really clear. Since you now see I look like this and not the guy from Harvard, I got invited here today because I know Dennis and Michelle talked and they've heard a little bit of my story. And they said, when you hear me talk, you will have I will be a great inspiration to you. You will have full and complete confidence that if I can do it, Grant, anybody can do it. And it's about that simple. If I can do it, yes, you can do it. No doubt about it. Late 60s, early 70s, and it was an era in America that was a rather tumultuous period of time. And it was the time in which Bill Clinton was over at Oxford, and Bill Clinton was saying that he was not inhaling. And the rumor on the street was me and a bunch of my friends were in the mountains picking wild herbs. I don't know what they were talking about, but they said we weren't exhaling. I don't think that was right. I was 17 years old, and I'll talk about this a little later, but 17 years old, and my father took me into downtown Denver with $50 in my pocket and said goodbye. And that was really the Vietnam era for a whole lot of us, where things were pretty rough and tumble. I had no money. I made a little bit of money, went to college for a short time, opened up a store, and I needed money. It was pretty simple. And like a lot of entrepreneurs, and by the way, you know Celestial, right? This has been the #1 specialty tea brand in the United States for about 30 years. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, I just had a lot of passion. I had a passion for healthy products. I wanted to see people healthy. I did need money, so that helped. But as a young boy, I had asthma. And there were lots of lots of nights I'd go to bed, and I wasn't sure that I'd wake up the next morning. I had a pretty bad case of asthma, and as I got older, I outgrew a lot of the things I was allergic to and started getting healthy. And by, I don't know what age, I became a total and complete health nut and was dedicated to seeing good, healthy food out there. I was a hiker. I took vitamins. I was running. I went around in health food stores in the late 60s and demonstrated carrot juicers. Have you seen those Jack LaLanne kind of bodybuilding, drink your carrot juice? It was a great time. And during that time, I ended up moving to Aspen, Colorado, and merged my little poster store. Sorry about that. That didn't help your filming. Merged my little poster store with a little dinky health food store. And at that time, I was hiking. I've climbed all the Colorado 14ers. I love to hike. I've been hiking my entire life. And I'd go out into the woods, and when people come into the store, we'd give them some tea, hot tea. And I'd go out into the woods, and I'd realize that the stuff that I was stepping on was exactly the stuff that we were serving people as they walked into our store. So there was wild chamomile and peppermint growing along the riverbanks and in the fields, and I started picking it, and I cannot tell you, I have no explanation for whatever got at that point, a 19-year-old kid out into the woods picking wild herbs and making tea, but it just kind of happened. And I would blend up this tea, and my friends would all say, you really ought to sell that stuff. That tea is really good. And I was lucky. I was lucky because I had super average taste buds. And what that meant was, if there was a batch of hibiscus flowers grown in Sudan, Africa, grown in China, or grown in Mexico, and you lined them up and put a blindfold on me, I could tell you which country they were grown in. But my averageness came in that the stuff that I liked to make, if I liked it, it turned out that millions of people tended to like it. And if I would have had really fussy taste buds, I don't think our company would have ever gotten off the ground.